Hey podcast listeners, it's Gfire. Today we are featuring singer-songwriter Sharl. But before we get into it, I wanted to let you know I have put out a fantastic new EP called Choosing My Own Colors on hot pink vinyl. The 5-song all-original album is available for purchase on my website, gfiremusic.com. That's gfiremusic.com. You can also stream Choosing My Own Colors on Spotify, Apple Music, and wherever you get your favorite tunes. Now here's the podcast. Sharl, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast today.
Absolutely. I try to give, all kinds of up-and-coming and seasoned women in music interviews, and I feel like you're one of those up-and-comers, right? This is your second album you're working on?
That's right. So my second album, which I just released independently at the end of last year. So it's called Cliches, and I'm really glad to have it finally out into the world and released.
And how long did it take to work on it?
Probably about six months or so, I think. I started working on it at the end of 2022, so it kind of finished towards the start of last year, and then had a period of time working on a couple of music videos for it, and then brought it all out at the end of last year.
Okay, that sounds fun. Well, let me go down my list of questions. Where are you originally from?
All over the place a bit. So my family is originally from Malaysia, but I never actually lived there. Mostly live in the UK and also Australia. So most recently I'm based in Melbourne, which is where I recorded the album and also filmed the music videos, but I'm over in London at the moment.
So do you have residences in both Australia and London?
Yeah, so just temporarily in London, but I would say Melbourne is also home at the moment.
And how did you get into music initially?
So music's always been part of my life. I think I was surrounded by music from a really young age because my older brother started playing the piano and violin, and I just really wanted to be like him. So I started learning the piano and violin when I was 3, and I did study classical music quite seriously throughout high school, and played piano, violin, did singing, and kind of was just exposed to a whole wide range of music. Alongside classical music, pop music has always just been a release for me. It's what I enjoy most. And so I started songwriting as a teenager. And then later I was signed to an indie record label in the UK, so that was kind of my first experience of being able to record original music and really get more into songwriting and developing as an artist. So I did that for a while, and then kind of just left for a while actually, and then it was always in the back of my mind as something that I wanted to come back to, and ultimately I think music is my passion. So over the last few years, and it was especially during the pandemic and the lockdowns that we had, which in Melbourne, where I was living at the time, was very intense, it kind of made me have the time and space to reevaluate what I want to focus on, and kind of brought me back to songwriting and pop music. So I found that during that time, I really developed my voice as an artist, and as a result, created another album called City Lights, which was my first kind of solo album release. That was at the end of 2022, it was released. And then following on from that, the second album, Cliches, was what I was working on last year.
So you're not currently with the UK record company?
No, that was quite a while ago. And then my recent work has all been independent, which I find it suits me a lot better at the moment. I think I really appreciate the experience I had with them at the beginning, because I think that exposed me to the industry and recording and the whole process of that. But I think because I was much younger then, I hadn't really found my voice and my style as an artist, and the freedom that I get to work with now and kind of releasing and making whatever I want suits me a lot better, and I feel very inspired and free in this setup.
So how do you fund your independent stuff? Do you use like Kickstarter, or do you have savings, or how do you do it as an independent artist?
So I do have Bandcamp. I do just have, I suppose, income from the occasional gigs or performances that I can get, although I haven't been doing that so recently. A lot of it is my own savings, but also, I guess, collaborating when I can, especially with kind of people in the similar emerging kind of up-and-coming stages as I am, in terms of other disciplines as well. So, for example, for music videos, photo shoots, things like that.
So you're making money on Bandcamp and then also doing collabs with other folks where you just like trade sessions or something?
Yeah.
Okay. Because, putting out music is not cheap, and making videos normally isn't either, but were you able to collaborate on all of that somehow?
Yeah, so I think Melbourne is a very creative city, so I'm thankful to have it seems like there's a lot of creative community there that I can lean on, and as you say, kind of help each other out where we can.
Okay. I'm just always curious as an independent artist, like how it comes to be, that you can actually put out stuff. What are some of your career highlights so far?
I'd say the biggest highlight for me was performing at the AFL Photo Festival last year. Sorry, not last year, now it's 2024.
What festival?
The AFL Festival in Melbourne. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with AFL. It's an Australian football. So I guess
it's
not
Australian
played anywhere else. Yeah, not
football festival.
Not played anywhere else, but very popular there. So that was a really great event. Other than that, I think just the personal highlights of kind of, as I said, being able to make the music that really represents me and resonates with me at the moment. And I think that's the benefit of being an indie artist. Like, as you've mentioned, it can be really challenging, but I think that's the upside of it.
Oh, absolutely. Have you run into any cautionary tales that you want to share?
Not major ones, but I think as we were alluding to, I think sometimes when you are collaborating with people and you don't have a huge amount of funds, that you have to work around that. And sometimes I found that not everyone can be that reliable, or sometimes things fall through. But I think, that's just the nature of it, of not having kind of the privileges or expenses that major artists would have.
Cool. All right. Well, let's see what the song I liked that I thought we'd talk about is No Other. Can you tell our listeners what that's about?
Yeah, so No Other is one of my favorites as well. I see it as it's a really kind of fun, upbeat song from the album. It's a kind of head over heels, falling in love, kind of over the top, kind of romantic feeling on that song. And I think it's a nice one because it's got a kind of like catchy brass section in the background. And I would say all of the songs on the album are quite different. And I think this represents kind of one extreme of the spectrum of the songs on this album.
One extreme of what?
Of the sounds and also the kind of the spectrum of the different feelings. Because I think there's some songs on there which are maybe a bit deeper or a bit darker, but I would say this one's probably the most bright and upbeat and happy of them.
Well, at this point, I'll say let's let the listeners hear No Other by Sharl. It's really catchy. I just think your voice is really good.
Oh, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think your publicist, Alex, right?
Lydia.
Oh, okay. Alex got a hold of me, but Lydia's your publicist.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay.
She's got more people helping her at the moment.
Is that I think one of them said that it was inspired by Disney princesses.
That's right. Well, the music video is. So we're trying to brainstorm what would fit the essence of this song for a video, and came up with the idea of Disney princesses, because I think, for one thing, the sound is quite kind of enchanting, and you can kind of imagine it just moving through different scenes quite quickly. And then with that whole head over heels feeling, we felt that Disney princesses being such a kind of romantic icon and trope just fit it really well. And that it was also just such a fun thing to portray, and like have fun dressing up with it and dancing, and kind of showing different parts of the city as well where we were filming. So it was a nice touch to bring that in. And I think the way we did it, I'm not sure if you've seen the video, but it kind of goes back and forth between kind of the real life modern world, and then imagining myself in those scenes as I write in the diary. So I thought it was a cute idea.
It is a cute idea. I will watch the video after this interview. All I did was listen to the tracks. So,
great. Definitely... Yeah, I'm looking forward to you checking it out. So let me know what you think afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Okay, so you're working with a publicist, and that is usually a very expensive thing. Do they have some sort of collective thing in Melbourne, or how did you hook up with this?
So I decided to fund this myself, because I thought it would give me the best chance of reaching out to press. And I decided to invest in that myself.
And so far that's working out in your benefit?
I think so. I mean, it's always hard to say, isn't it, what's doing what exactly. But I mean, I think it's all part of the journey, so I'm glad to have that.
And what do you do to like build and keep your fan base? How do you build as an indie artist in Melbourne? I would say through social media. So people do message me directly, and I try to respond to them and keep that connection up. Also, I suppose performances helps me to reach kind of a wider audience who may not have seen me on socials. And I'd say we are fortunate in Melbourne that there is quite a scene of kind of emerging indie artists as well, which I don't think that's the case everywhere, actually. So I feel that we're actually quite lucky in the support that we have there from various music organizations, which makes it quite easy to meet others at events. And sometimes there's kind of educational seminars and events in the evening that we can go to and just network with each other as well. That's really nice. I've never been to Australia. It sounds like Melbourne would be a great place to play.
Yeah, maybe you should come and visit.
Maybe I should. Would they like an American singer-songwriter coming into their creative town?
I'm sure they would. As I said, I think it's a very good place to be in terms of the art scene. And also, I think maybe there is that support for kind of smaller artists, which is hard to find elsewhere.
And do you have some stories, just some cool stories about your life as a singer-songwriter? It could be something very small or big, or just it's good to relate to what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say that I think it's important to just be optimistic, and sometimes it can be a really hard journey. I remember playing somewhere and just thinking like no one's listening, or there's not many people here, and then it so happened that someone messaged me afterwards and said that they thought I had great energy despite the small crowd, and that they were a local DJ and that they would play my music. And it was just, I think, really heartwarming, because I think, as you say, it can be very challenging as an indie artist, and sometimes you feel that you maybe it is hard to reach people, and that maybe, as I said, at that point I thought, oh, no one's paying attention, but at the same time it's so serendipitous that little things can happen. Or I think you just have to be optimistic and keep doing what you love, and if you're doing it for what, I think you just have to know your reasons for doing it and stick to that, and I think you'll find what you're looking for as long as you have a good reason for doing it.
So now let's turn to the fact of what did you release it on? Did you just do a digital release, or did you print CDs or vinyl or cassette tapes?
Just digital.
Just digital.
Yeah.
And which service you used for distribution?
For CD Baby.
Oh, that's what I use.
Yeah.
They seem fine, so I'm not planning on switching. That's cool.
Yeah.
Where are you most active on social media? Are you an Instagram person, a TikToker?
Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of people who would recommend TikTok at the moment, but it's just not something that I've found kind of the time to start getting into. I think it's one of those things that you have to find what works for you. So if you love TikTok, I'm sure that's great for some people. It may be something that I look into in the future, but yeah, I just haven't got around to it.
Well, that's cool. And what is your website?
My website is www.sharlmusic.com.
That is easy. And does your brother still play music?
He does. So he is quite a good jazz pianist. So he does that and plays with some jazz bands sometimes. And I think it's just great to have music as part of your life. I think in whatever form it is, whether kind of pursuing it more professionally or recreationally, there's just so much good from it. I think it really is great for your mental health. It's good for building your community and just relaxation as well. So I think it's something that if you have ever been into it, you probably want to keep it around in your life in some form.
Now, do you have like a day job in addition to it?
Yeah, I do. So I work as a doctor. So I think the most
doctor?
challenging part. Yeah.
A medical doctor?
Yes, correct.
Wow. What is your specialty?
Anesthetics.
Wow. Well, we all need that.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, the most challenging part has been balancing both. The period of time that I said I kind of stopped doing music was kind of when I was really deep into studying at med school, and I found it pretty impossible to balance the two, I think, in terms of time, but also I think when you're just so busy with other things, you don't have the creative space in your mind to be able to kind of create and be inspired and lean into that properly. So going forwards for me, it's a case of finding that balance. But I think now that I feel like I've found my style and my voice as an artist, that I'll be able to balance it a lot more and keep going with that.
Wow. So you balance being a doctor with being a singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
I think you might be my first interview that I interviewing a doctor / singer-songwriter.
I think there's a few out there. So
I'm sure. I think that's pretty cool, actually. The singing anesthesiologist.
Yeah.
That's nice. And your family's in Melbourne, or?
They're spread out a bit. So my brother's in London. My parents are in Australia. So I'm part of why I'm here at the moment, just being able to spend a bit more time with him, which is great. And it's nice kind of having that international split at the moment, because it gives us a good excuse to travel a lot, which we all love. So.
Nice. I'm sorry, who's in London with you?
My brother.
Oh, your brother, yes. The jazz pianist. Is he also a doctor?
No, he's not, but I think he's glad he's not.
Well, are you playing any clubs while you're in the UK?
No, so I mean, I have found it challenging to find the opportunities here, and I think that's what made me appreciate maybe how more accessible the Melbourne scene is. I think that's something people warned me about before coming here, that actually they said Melbourne probably is one of the best places for an emerging artist, and that maybe not everywhere else would have that scene. So yeah, I found it much more difficult here in terms of booking any performances, and that's part of why I reached out for publicist support as well.
Yeah, because your publicist is in the UK.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Well, maybe they'll dig up some gigs for you.
Yeah, I hope so. We'll see what this year brings.
Well, is there anything else I haven't covered that you want to emphasize?
Not really. But I hope people will have a chance to check out the album. I'm really pleased with the songs on Clichés, and I hope that people will enjoy them. I think there's quite a range of different sounds, but I think for anyone into pop music, it'll be a nice one to check out. So I hope you like it.
Well, great. Everybody go to sharlmusic.com. Check out her videos, I guess, on YouTube, right?
Yeah, videos on YouTube. I think Spotify's a pretty easy place to find my music as well. But yes, on all streaming platforms. And
are you're Sharl Music on all the platforms?
It's just Sharl, so
just Sharl.
Sharl. You can find me on Spotify or any streaming platforms.
Well, great. It's lovely to meet you and talk with you.
You too. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you. I'll let Lydia know when this comes out.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. Really nice to meet you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah, I'll look forward to hearing the rest. Okay.
Okay, bye for now.